So 10.1.7's on its way, but you don't have to look very far before you can find some pretty concerning content on the state of retail WoW right now. Whether it's PvE or PvP, we seem to have a plunging participation problem. But just for a second, let's go back to the beginning, the Dragonflight launch. Now, I know a lot of people are against beating dead horses. I have no problem with it at all. So you'll remember that Shadowlands sold 3.7 million copies. The number one reason for the success of Shadowlands is COVID. Everyone got locked down. That first season of Shadowlands was a dream. So people will say, well, Shadowlands was only successful because of COVID, and there is a lot of truth to that. However, you know, it's better to be lucky than good. That 3.7 million copies sold is still money in Blizzard's pocket. Right place, right time. Happens to tons of people. Let's do remember that Legion sold 3.3 million. Okay, so let's just use that as a very successful expansion. 3.3 million. And Blizzard won't even provide the number of Dragonflight copies sold. And I have a sneaky suspicion if it sold really well, they'd tell you the number. The fact that they won't even tell us the number is a huge red flag to me. Activision Blizzard noted that the post-launch subscriber retention was better. And holy shit, did the content creators run with this. And look, people show up for games and then they leave them. I get it. But can anyone actually link me one piece of evidence that retention is really good? I mean, let's just say it's better than Shadowlands, okay, but is it good? Because I'm having a hard time believing a game that didn't sell well is actually retaining people really well. Because Vinny's last video, God, I love Vinny. Look how handsome this guy is with the eyes and the landscape portraits. He's pulling me in, family. He's talking about PvP participation at an all-time low. Now, you'll remember in my RIP 3v3 video, we buried 3v3. It was a very nice service. If you weren't there, you can check that out. But I told you this was going to happen the second they announced Solo Shuffle. I'll go one step further and tell you that people won't even play arena modes if you'll allow them to get conquest through random battlegrounds. You know, I mean, the only thing that keeps arena up and afloat is the fact that they force people to play it to get conquest. If people could just get conquest playing random battlegrounds, there's a ton of people that would never touch arena again. And they'd be fine. Call them scrubs, tell them they suck. That's fine. They just like random battlegrounds. That's a tough reality, but out of respect for these guys, we did bury 3v3 very respectfully. It was a nice spot. It was a very nice ceremony. I had a good time. And the boosters are going to miss it. Solo Shuffle also comes up in this video, and queue times are going up. And if you don't know, there's a whole bunch of problems. They talk about MMR, but any MMR discussion, what they really mean is no one's fucking playing. That's what it all boils down to. If you injected 100,000 people into Solo Shuffle or 3v3 and they all started playing, your MMR problems are gone. MMR problems occur when people aren't playing your game because they have an algorithm that requires a certain level of participation to be accurate and function. And they're not getting that level of participation at fucking all. That's the MMR problem. We fixed all that. I've addressed PvP problems and solutions. I'm happy to do it. And it's easy to do. There's lots of ways you can fix this, but they still haven't. But let's be honest, PvP has kind of always been the bastard child of World of Warcraft. So, you know, when the numbers get down, PvP numbers go down real quick. So when you slide over to PvE, you can see that at the beginning of, Season 1, Shadowlands and Dragonflight are neck and neck. And Dragonflight falls off a little quicker, but remember, Shadowlands had the benefit of the lockdowns and COVID. Shadowlands also came after a more successful expansion, where Dragonflight came behind Shadowlands. But look at this 32 for Dragonflight for Season 1. Look at the drop-off in Season 2, down to 2.2. Diablo 4 is a huge part of this. Tears of the Kingdom is a huge part of this. I think there's other parts to it, and we'll get to those, but there are just, I think the nature of games is, you're into Season 2, there's new games coming out, people are going to come and leave your game. There is most certainly just a part of modern gaming that people are going to come in and out, and I do think that the WoW teams identified that. The problem that they're having is they can't get people to come in, at least not as many as they need to. Because while these communities are very dedicated, and people want to say, well, look, 2.2 million ain't bad or whatever, but when you actually, because this is a very dedicated community of people that do this, and they run multiple characters, multiple alts, multiple vaults filled out. When you actually break this down to individual accounts and, accounting for people's alts and stuff, this number gets dramatically smaller. Now, it doesn't fall off the map, I don't think. I think there are a lot of people that do Mythic Plus. And look at opening raid participation. And here's a real concerning thing. Look at the trend from top to bottom. They go down every time. And you started here, where PvPers blame the MMR system. PvEers like to blame balance. Let's slide over to my boy Dratty over here. Love this kid. He's got some of the best Warcraft content out there. If there's anything you need to know about Mythic Plus, raiding, if you want to be good on the PvE side of things, this is my man, my Dratty. If he ever tries to leave me, I'm going to smother him with that fucking dinosaur pillow, but only because I love him. And he has just the best WoW content. He really breaks things down in this video about, what happened, what's going on, the problems. He even pitches. It's just a great video. His content, sensational. But what you can see, and I'll give you a TLDR, it's fucked. You can see right here. It's absolutely fucked. My only issue with this is I know that balance is very important to the people still participating in these systems. But what I wonder is, even if you achieved very good balance, do you really believe people are going to come roaring back? Because when I read a lot of the complaints about Mythic Plus, is that actually people just aren't having fun. They're just not having fun. That's what they sound like when they talk about it and they type about it. They sound like they're miserable. I mean, it's just kind of crazy, right? Because this company's always struggled with balance. And their idea was, you know what we should do? We should build a class that throws everything out of fucking whack. And here we are. People told them this was going to happen. Don't do this. This sounds like it's just going to be a balancing nightmare. And they went with it anyway. I mean, in some ways, you got to give them respect. Just blatantly said, we don't give a shit. Here it comes. No one wanted these evokers. I don't even know how they got through. This art team is one of the greatest art teams in video game industry. And how this got through, I don't know. Whoever was involved with this should be fired. This whole department, wherever they keep these, everything, it's all got to be piled up and burned so that this awfulness can never happen again. These are awful. I don't know how they play great. I'm sure they have great abilities. It doesn't matter. They look awful. I mean, horrible. They should never have been added to the game. No one wanted them. And your sales indicate to you that they actually weren't as exciting as you pitched them to be. They're talking about this Fury Incarnate, and they're all excited about these new features. But my concern is that this isn't selling anymore. And while everyone's saying it's exciting new stuff coming out, but is it? And who is it exciting? Because I don't see people lining up. I mean, it's the same with people repeating that, hey, we've got great retention. Really? I see that participation across the board seems pretty down. But everybody keeps telling me about this exciting new shit that's coming out. But is it exciting? Who is it exciting? Where are all these excited people at? Because I'd love to see them. You got 2 hours to play and you're in queue for 45 minutes? What other game requires that? Got big public events coming, right? These dream searches. More shit to go in your bags. My God, this expansion and my bags have been in like this epic struggle and my bags are losing badly. But you've had public events like time rifts. New customizations for different races and stuff. Yeah, that's cool for the people still playing. But your last patch had a whole new spec and it didn't bring people roaring back. I'll give you a hint. You could get rid of this whole class. And other than your very vocal minority that you seem to cater this game to, no one would give a shit. They're awful. They look awful. Yes, they have some awesome mechanics and some awesome gameplay. Blizzard is one of the best at developing awesome classes. But they look so bad, I can't even take them seriously. It's just awful. Awful. We're getting the heroic version of this dungeon. New stories and quests. This is the part I'm most excited about, the holiday shit. And all I'm saying is, if this shit didn't bring them back, why is this going to? And when everybody was skipping around talking about how great it is that Blizzard's back with this timeline, I was saying this, family. I don't know that this is going to work because I don't see it bringing people back. That's all. I'm not trying to be overly critical. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it working. If you're trying to get lots of people to buy your game to make lots of money, I don't see this recipe working. But you know what? All this talk to really get down to the dilemma here, because you know what the craziest part of this is? You know how many Dragonflight players right now will tell you that this is one of the best expansions? And that Blizzard is just nailing this on the head. And all they need to do is get the word out about, hey, we're back, baby. Come try it out. And people are going to stay and play it. And there's a lot not being said in this update. Are they addressing healer, MMR, and solo shuffle? And what's really confusing about this to me is I look at all this shit you guys are working on, none of which seems like it's much different than the shit that already didn't work. But then the shit you need to do, like fix the healer problem where your healers are going 4-2 and losing, and you haven't done shit about it, but you want people to come out here and get excited about dream surges. And many of the Dragonflight community are seriously telling you, yes, Dragonflight's actually great, and they just need to do more of this. And that if people just had heard about how great it was, and if they come back and try it, they're going to stay. As if people haven't heard about World of Warcraft and you can't see it on every fucking YouTube. I mean, it's everywhere. Do you really think that people plugged in to the gaming communities today don't hear about the new WoW expansion? Could it possibly be that they actually heard about it and they saw it and they saw, boy, that looks a little not awesome? But we have like a fanatical Dragonflighters are out here, and it clipped them, family. I mean, they're in on it. I mean, to me, it looks like the old versions of WoW are selling better than the new ones. But again, they won't release the numbers, so we don't get to know. And I don't blame Blizzard. I wouldn't give my numbers out either. Hell, if I have the power just to pull some random statement out of my ass, like, hey, sales suck, but retention's good, and not have to back it up at all, and then have all my mouthpieces spout that shit off for the next 6 months, dude, why would I give you information either? Live that dream. Tell them whatever they want to hear. But what if this isn't working anymore? Well, see, to me, that's the most exciting part. Because if this isn't working anymore, now you got to make a move. The question is, which direction do you go? Because the Dragonflighters are telling you more of the same. They love it. The dragon riding, this is it. This is the new direction. WoW's got it figured out. I can't see any metrics that suggest that that's true, but it's true to them. And to me, what we're getting at here is that the systems just aren't working. They're nearly not. They say there's exciting new stuff coming out, but calling something exciting doesn't make it exciting. And I don't see that it really is exciting a lot of people. And look, let's be honest, it excites people for a period of time and then they're off to play the new game. I actually do think that this new season idea is very good for Blizzard. This is a very good representation of what you can expect from the gaming community. They're going to come in, tear up your new content, and then they're out for the next best thing until you've got new content. And if that new content they're interested in, they come back, but they're not lining up for this. And this is why I always hate people that bitch about negativity, because I look at this and I say, this is fucked. This is terrible. Because can I tell you in my heart, I agree with the Dragonflighters. I think Dragonflight is gorgeous and there's a lot of cool stuff to work with. And one of the reasons I get so negative about World of Warcraft is because I see the potential. I see the potential. It's awesome. This game, it's just an incredible game. And it has huge potential. Take something like the death of Arena here. People mourn this, but I think it gives you a real opportunity to free yourself from the shackles that Arena has done because it's not even worth it, really. I think getting away from building things to be good in Arena is a wonderful for your class design, because right now Arena forces everyone to have cooldowns to trade, steroids to burst with, and CCs to the end. I think that you could really design classes to be offensive and or defensive if they did not all have to be balanced to compete in some game mode that no one gives a shit about anyway. I think this is excellent news for everyone who loves random battlegrounds and doesn't like all the hybrid shit that's going on between all the classes. I mean, every class has a 1 or 2 minute burst cooldown, defensives to trade, yada, yada, yada. It just goes on and on and on. And there can't be any good uniqueness. I mean, getting away from having to make everything good in Arena could really free you up, I think, in some really fun ways in class design. I really do. And most importantly, I think a lot of people just don't really care for this mode. If you would allow people to just get Conquest, even if they had to play a lot more Battlegrounds and they could just give them the basic gear, they'll do it. They don't want to have to go download 15 add-ons and get, have people flame them just so that they can get the best gear. And look, I love Solo Shuffle and I really like Arena, but it's quite clear that a lot of people don't to me. One of the things that's very encouraging about Solo Shuffle is that its success. The first drop of development that you threw the PvP community, they ate up. I think if you throw some Battlegrounds in there and dress up your old Battlegrounds, especially your Epics, I mean, just no attention to your Epic Battlegrounds. And I think that's some of the most fun content if it's balanced out and everybody's competing and everybody's, motivated to do it well. It can be a lot of fun. I think it's some of the most fun you can have in gaming. And they don't seem to have any direction in those areas at all. And I think that actually is very exciting. I think that would excite people. Then you come back to balance, which now, I mean, it's going to take them the rest of the expansion to figure out these augmentation evokers. People told them not to do it. They did it anyway. You got to sleep in the bed you made, I guess. But this is really bad, but I will say this game has never really been super well balanced. There always seems to be outliers. My recommendation here has always been make the rewards based per specialization. That's what you got to do. And that's what I'm saying is my concern is that these systems are no longer working and actually exciting people and that you need to change it up. But with that said, I think that, these numbers free you up and give you that opportunity. And I think you should take it. And that's the Dragonflight Dilemma, family. In one corner, the people that tell you Dragonflight is awesome, the most fun they've had since Legion, they say. Blasphemy. But that's real to them. Somehow, I don't know, but it is real to them. And they're saying, keep it coming. Just keep doing what you're doing. The word will get out about how everything's better. And you just keep it rolling. Keep doing what you're doing. Most fun since Legion. But my concern is that that's just coming from the very vocal fanatics or fans. That's what they are. They're very vocal and they're fans of the game. But I don't see people excited. I don't see them excited for Evoker. I don't see them super excited for dragon riding. And I don't see them super excited for a lot of things. I see some very vocal people got very excited about it, but I don't see that it actually brought the crowds roaring back. And for an MMO to be fun, you got to have a crowd. So while I'm very skeptical that Fury Incarnate's going to bring people back, I mean, just historically, people don't start coming back for an expansion. The numbers tend to just drop off over time. It seems like no matter what you do, that may just be the nature of things. So I can't think that if this stuff didn't bring people roaring back, that this stuff's going to. But I will be thrilled to be wrong. Hopefully I am. But if I'm not, and we continue to see Dragonflight numbers go up and queue times go up and the healers don't come back because we're working on all of this shit instead of fixing what really matters, I think that could free Blizzard up to really do some fun things. And then you look into the future and you see Season 3 on the horizon and patch 10.2. And you know what you're going to have, your new island with your new faction, more currency, shit to farm, rep to gain, your new raid no one's really doing, your new PvP season. Maybe at this point they'll fix the MMR and Solo Shuffle. I don't know who's going to heal all the people in this new PvP season if they don't. However, I want to say, in closing, I absolutely believe this game has huge potential. And to be honest with you, to me, it gets a little exciting if the status quo falls apart, because it allows you to rebuild things in a lot more fun way. Anyway, you know me, I love a toxic relationship, so I'm in for the long haul. We'll see what happens. Interesting dilemma indeed. Talk to you soon. Buckle home out.